nice device, and it was something else because also back then there were two, maybe three big phone operating systems you could use. You had iOS, of course, Android, Windows Phone was still a thing, but yeah, I didn't like it. And I used Ubuntu already on my desktop, and I was very keen to see that there was something for the phone, and I loved it. And then in 2017, disaster struck because Canonical decided it wasn't useful for their company anymore to develop the system. It didn't bring in any money, so they had to let it go. And then there were the beautiful folks of UBports, and they picked up the project. And it's still up and running today, and more alive than ever. We're a worldwide community still maintaining and developing Ubuntu Touch, and we are at events in the Netherlands, but also worldwide on fast events. This was actually in Tilburg, nearby in the local it is. I look to our guide Eric.
Yeah, across the street.
Across the street, yeah. Every year.
Under the rails, under the train, and then it's about what, 70 meters?
Well, let's not go under the train. There's a message. But it's nice to show the world that there are alternatives to the big two that are still standing. There it is in all its beauty. BQ acquires the first commercial Ubuntu phone. Well, how did I start with app development? I was 15 at the time, so I got this phone. And of course, I missed some apps on it, so I just started fiddling around. With zero knowledge, I made my first scope, because Ubuntu Touch got scopes back in the day. There were these school start pages that you could swipe through, and you could check restaurants nearby or read the news in it. And I made a few of those. It was pretty easy. And then I made my first apps, and that leads me to today. And these are a few of the apps I made and published. I missed a good weather app for the Netherlands, so I made Radar, inspired by Buienradar, for the Dutch people who know that. Also, I wanted to fuel my car, but I couldn't find any fuel prices in the App Store. So I made Wegwijs, and it uses the ANWB data to get fuel prices. Then I missed a Deezer client for music streaming, so I fiddled around and made a Flow to play that. And lastly, most important thing, to stay in touch with the UBports community, a forum app for Ubuntu Touch. And I hope I can inspire you today to just start creating and make something yourself. Let's have a little overview. First, I'm going to show you how to set up your development environment, how to start developing. Then we'll take a look at how you could start creating your first app. We're going to build and also run the app on desktop and on your phone. And lastly, I'll show you where to publish it, because that's also important. If you created something nice, you want to share it with the world, right? So, the program you need to actually package and create Ubuntu Touch apps is Clickable. Why this name? Ubuntu Touch uses the Click package to install apps. So that's where it comes from. And it's used to create the app. It has a couple of templates. It's used to build it, and you can also install the app on your phone with Clickable. It doesn't come with an IDE or code editor. There is the Qt creator that is somehow usable via a Docker image, but I personally use an external code editor. You can use anything if you want, even gedit or anything else if you would like that, but I'm going to use Visual Studio Code or VS Code. It's the open source version of VS Code. Clickable is installable on Linux, Windows, and macOS. On Linux it's native, of course. You could use WSL on Windows, but I recommend to use a virtual machine. It's a bit easier if you want to use the desktop version of Clickable if you want to publish and run apps on there. And it's the same story for macOS. There's Windows 2 times somehow, but this is macOS. Just to be sure. And it is native installable on macOS, but I never got around how to run desktop apps on there as well. So I recommend to use a virtual machine as well for it. Oh, it's going a bit too fast. First, let's get it back. I don't have a little clicky thing with me today.
Put it there.
It is there. Thank you, Eric. Let's see how this works. Oh, it feels like magic. Oh, there's a USB in it. Wow. It's working. And that's all I'm going to focus on, just clicking these buttons. Okay. First we need to install Clickable, and it's actually a Python package. You can use this command to install the dependencies first. It's going to need Docker. It uses Docker images to actually build the app. You need ADB. ADB is needed to communicate with the phone. It's the Android debug bridge. Don't be scared about the name, because that's what UBports uses to actually communicate with the phone, push the files and push the apps. It's going to be need Git to communicate with repositories, and of course Python and pipx to actually install the package. You install it using pipx install clickable UT. And lastly, you need to add all the pip scripts to your path. You don't have to write this down now. You could go to the documentation, the URL is there, and follow this later on your laptop. And if everything went right with the installation, you can open up your terminal again. You might need to close it, and you'll see that Clickable is installed. Then, Clickable needs a bit of setup. It needs to set up auto-completion and also the Docker integration. You use Clickable setup and it just does its magic. And most of the time it just works. If it doesn't, ask us for help and we'll figure it out. Then you might need to log out or reboot your computer to have it all set up. And if you want to upgrade anytime, you could also just do that via pipx. Then, I already told you you could use any code editor of your choice, but we're going to stick with Codium in this presentation. You can install it as Snap on Ubuntu or other distributions with Snap support. And of course, if you use Windows or macOS, there is a link to the website to install other packages. And fun fact, thanks to Alfred, Clickable is also available as Snap. So if you want to Snap all the way, you could also install it as a Snap. Then, of course, if we use Codium, it would be nice to get a bit of structure in our code, because by default, if you open up a file of your app, most of the files are QML files. That's the programming language that the UBports app is written in. It's going to show up like this, all just plain white text, and I don't like it. But you could install the Qt core and Qt QML extensions in Codium, and the code will look a bit more structured. It's easier to get right. Then it's time to understand the UBports application. The basics of UBports, the front end is written in QML. And QML is quite a powerful programming language, actually. For example, we have UNAV, and UNAV is a navigation app for UBports, and it's purely written in QML in combination with JavaScript. QML has a bit of the likes of JavaScript, and yeah, it's really powerful to write apps in it. For example, the apps I showed you at the beginning of the presentation are only QML and JavaScript. Of course, there are also more templates available besides the QML only template. You could use another backend. C++ is the most used backend, but there's also Python, Go, and Rust available as a template if you want other backend integrations. And if you want to touch the gaming side of things, you could also use Godot and SCL. There are templates for that. I don't have any experience with it, but probably one of the folks of UBports here today know their way around. And lastly, there's also HTML template if you would want to write an HTML app. So enough ways to get started. Let's take a look at the QML only template, at the structure and what files are in it. Of course, there is the QML folder, and in here is actually what we just saw on the screen. It's all the QML code you want in your app, you place it in the QML folder. But besides that, there are a couple of things in the main folders. First up, you have the clickable YAML. That's the build configuration, and it specifies, for example, what minimal version of clickable it needs to use. If you've got a more advanced app with extra things to build and compile, you could also specify it in the YAML file. Next up, there's the manifest. There goes the name of your app, the version number, the description, etc. It's all in the manifest. Also, you have a desktop file. It's to launch the app. You can also edit that to give the desktop entry the app name in the app var of Ubuntu Touch another name, or change the splash screen color if you want to go wild. And also a very important file in the main folder is the app armor file, because Ubuntu Touch runs apps confined. So by default, you don't have access to internet, for example, from your app. You don't have access to other files or other folders. So every permission has to be specified in the app armor file. If you want to use the camera of your phone, you need to write it down there. There is a list of permissions in the documentation on the UBports site, so you can check there and see what you want here. There also is an assets folder. By default, there's only the logo of your app, but you can also put other images and files there. And lastly, important is the PO folder, the PO folder. There is the translation template that is also automatically generated. And if you want to translate your app in other languages, you can put files there. Well, let's start with creating. That's why we're here today. With the wonderful command clickable create. This will open up the first. This will open up the list of questions to go through to create your first app. It first always asks to download the latest app templates. Sometimes there are updates to them, or even new backends may appear. So it's always a good thing to update that. You need to select your template. The one we did look at was QML only. As I said, C++ is also very popular, and you can also choose other templates. Then you need to give it a title. The title is the title as the user will see it in the app var and in the rest of the system. So give the capital, give the good name. Next up, a short description. If you publish your app, you can go all the way out and write a lot about it, but this is just a one-line description. Next up, the app name, that needs to be lowercase because this ends up in your package name. Also, the maintainer name is first, or the namespace is lowercase because that also ends up in your package name. And then you can add your full name, email address, and lastly, select a license for it. A lot of apps published for Ubuntu Touch are open source, and it's nice to see the source of them. Not only that because the open source thing, but also that you can be inspired by it.
And at the copyright domain, you can also set up GitLab or Git versioning. And then the app is created. It's in this case in the CodeFest folder here. That's what we do to our app. So we cd to that folder and use Codium to open up the code of the app. And if you take a closer look at the QML code, you see that it uses a couple of import statements. And one of these import statements is Lomiri components. And the Lomiri components are all the visual components you see in the app. And that's what makes it nicely integrated in the Ubuntu Touch operating system. And you can use all kind of components in your app, like buttons or sliders. Even the page header has a lot of extra components you can put in it. For example, you see that I define the app title. I add a trailing action bar, and there are those icons in as the settings icon and the search icon. So it's really a nice set of components to develop your app and to make something of it. And the best tip I can give you is use the documentation. If you think of something you want to implement in your app, just go to the UBports documentation and look what you need, because there's really a lot in it. For example, one thing you could use in your app is the adaptive page layout. I told you about convergence, and the adaptive page layout is a really nice way to make apps scalable across devices. For example, on the left phone and the right tablet, it's the same code running, but it's the adaptive page layout component that makes sure that it's shown neatly across devices. Another component that's quite useful is the Content Hub. I already told that apps run confined on Ubuntu Touch, and you use the Content Hub to communicate with other apps. So if you want to import or export files, you can use this component to do that. And besides documentation, there also is a very nice UI toolkit gallery. It's in the Open Store, the App Store for Ubuntu Touch. So if you're ever developing an app and you just want to scroll through all the available components, you can also take a look at that one. Also, a good thing to know when developing apps for Ubuntu Touch on the QML side are the grid units. Grid units are sort of translation for different screen sizes. Every device has a grid unit defined, and the grid unit stands for an amount of pixels on the screen. So when you're making items or objects in your app, you can define the width and height with units.gu and then specify the amount, and it makes sure that that is scaled nicely across devices, also with convergence in mind, and you don't end up with a really small component on some high density displays. And when developing an app, you can also find in the documentation the human guidelines, because back in the day, Canonical came up with the Suru design theme, and there are quite a lot of rules that go along with it. So be sure to read it if you're in the phase of publishing your app, to see if the app is actually beautiful enough or nice enough to publish. It's a good thing to keep in mind. Well, we did some coding. Now it's time to run our app. I don't know if there are any people in this room today who have an Ubuntu Touch device. Wow, Stuart, you have one. Of course, Alfred and Nikita. Great. Because, oh, and Eric as well. Because it's a nice thing to be able to directly run it on your phone, of course. You can use sensors like the camera or the microphone if you want that in your app. But if you don't have, it's also possible to run it on your computer directly through the clickable desktop command. And this compiles the app and runs it on your desktop so that you can test it. I'm not sure. I'm going to look at the other focus viewports. Can it access the camera, for example, through clickable desktop? No, right? No. Yeah, it's a bit finicky. Yeah. No. So it's better to use a device if you want to test those features of your app. But it is a nice way to quickly check what your app is looking like and what it's doing. And if you have a phone, you can just plug it in with a cable. That's the easiest way. It goes again through the ADB protocol to push and install the app on your phone. It's also possible to use SSH to push your app through the network to your phone. And I believe there are a couple of extra Ubuntu Touch devices today, besides the laptops provided by Open Source Science. So if you want to test your app today, it's also possible. And when the app is running on your phone with the clickable command, you could also use clickable logs to see what's going on the phone. It's a nice command to use for debugging. The QML-only template is actually architecture agnostic. That means that it runs on different architectures. It will build the click package as an all package. You can install it on any device. But some templates, it includes the C++ templates, are architecture dependent. So you need to build it for different architectures. For example, most of the phones are ARM64 nowadays, so that's what you need to build for your phone. So when you start building, you need to specify it with the Arch flag, and after that define what architecture you're going to build. And it will end up in the build folder of your app under the architecture, and then in the app folder you'll find the click package. And it's also possible, there are the snaps again, to package apps as snaps, because since a little while there is, besides the clickable YAML file, a snapcraft YAML. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but Alfred is our snap expert here.
I wanted to add to that the Open Store just overnight has grown the capabilities to install snaps in the Open Store, from within the Open Store app. So if you want to publish your apps, not as clips, but as snaps, they will still show up in Ubuntu Touch in the Store app.
Great, yeah. And a nice thing is, besides that, is that Click apps are mainly used for Ubuntu Touch. You can install it on Ubuntu Touch devices, but if you want to install the same app with the beautiful Lomiri components on a computer running Lomiri, Snap is the better option. So it's great. Good to hear that the Open Store includes it now. Snaps, yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you package your app as Snap in a moment, you'll be able to use it. Yeah. Open possibilities. I could give a little demonstration of the steps from Clickable. Let me just quickly duplicate my screen here, so I can also see what's going on. So, Eric, may I ask your assistance? If you could hold the microphone for the stream.
Standing up, trying not to throw over anything.
Okay. You've seen the steps in the presentation already, but once again, if you want to create a project, just start with Clickable Create. Download the templates. You don't need to type all your choices. If you just want to use the default choice, it's between the brackets here. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, exactly, and then it starts to fail. Maybe it's a network issue. Freedom is a choice.
That's not the correct network.
That's not the right one.
Yeah, that one.
Here we go. Let's try it again. Here it asks to select a template. In the presentation we already saw the QML only template. I'll choose C++ now to demonstrate. We need an app title, then a description, an app name, and this is the same as your app title but lowercase. It also could be something else. Also lowercase your developer name, and be sure to choose a creative name for this, because when publishing apps in the open store for Ubuntu Touch you need a unique name here. And this can be anything. And lastly, an email, and then you need to select your open source license. You could also choose for not open source, but why would you do that? And all the Git possibilities. Let's change to the CodeFest folder. Open up Codium, and as you see, Clickable already made a nice app project for us here. So these are all the files you saw in the presentation before. This template also has a CMake list for the C++ side of things. And in the main folder you'll also find a plugin folder, and that's where you can add C++ logic for it. It also has already an example code of C++, and it's linked to the QML code. It imports the example here, and I believe the template has a button and it communicates with the C++ backend to demonstrate it. So let's build it or run it on Clickable Desktop. And there it is. Let's see if the communication with the backend works. It's saying something, so. Yeah. The components? Oh, Copilot. I don't use it, but I think it's possible to install it. Yeah. I think it's possible to install it through the extensions, so that would be possible.
Maybe I will ask you then support for that.
Yeah, of course, if you want to use it. Yeah. But it's really easy to get started. Open up a template. Yeah. Do we want to see anything in this example? A nice component, or do we want the button to do something, to change something in the UI? Who has a great idea?
Picture. Do a picture.
A picture.
I have another question, because for example, so
Uh-huh.
in my case I prefer kind, because I'm still learning, so I prefer kind of a script to be put inside in order to give me the possibility to share everything by color, so I create a kind of legend. And
Yeah.
there's a way that I can make that run all the time in the backward without all the time prompt that, for example, because it's easier for me to understand when I create a debug, where they come from. Because I'm not so advanced in programming, so that is also something I would like to know. Because if, I don't know if you need to be linked to the Copilot in this case, or like a possibility for me to do it. Because usually I was creating that with the visual code. But this is similar, but
Mm-hmm.
if you can also update that.
The debugging process.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, the debugging process. Yes, because I checked and there is a possibility to
I don't have experience with that, but maybe we could help out with it. Terence is our AI expert here.
I have mine strictly confined in a container and it only speaks to Telegraph, so
Mhm.
don't know about that.
But we'll figure it out. Yeah, yeah. And Stuart, you had the idea of adding an image in the app. It's as easy as just creating an image component. And we want it somewhere in the middle of the screen. We use anchors for that in Ubuntu Touch. And the anchors make sure that it holds the right position. For example, we want our image to stretch from the left side of the screen. So it anchors to the parent, and in this case the parent is the page. The right will be the right side of the screen. And we are going to add one more thing, and that's the vertical position. And of course we need to specify an image with the source. What do you want an image of, Stuart? Yumi, yeah? Yumi, for the people who don't know it, is our little mascot. It's a flying robot.
He's behind you.
Yeah. He's really cute. Let's see if the internet holds up.
If you have the connection.
And let's save it in our project folder. I'll put it directly in the QML folder now. Let's give it a rememberable name. Yumi. And it's in the same folder as this QML file, so we can just use yummy.png here. And also we need to specify a height in this case, because we anchored it to the left side and the right side of the screen, but we didn't define anchors to the top and the bottom. It just says vertical center, and it's the vertical center of the page. So let's specify a height of the image with grid units and make it a height of 20, for example. And it isn't there because it can't find it, and that's because this is a C++ template, and this template asks you to specify all the files in the app in the QRC file.
But you can after run a check before to see what is already compatible or if we're changed to this bug, because this is a kind of a bug, isn't it?
Well, the bug in this case is that we didn't specify the file.
Yeah.
Because the app knows it needs to take a QML file in the compilation, but we didn't specify the image file, so it's just not in the app yet.
That means then if there is like a kind of script that can be replaced all the time, then we use something already as a chapter. This is like actually how it's defined. So that means then we can already add something like a debugging system and tell us, look, is missing something before even we run it, isn't it?
Oh, I think it should be possible, yeah. I never tried it. I just always go through the pain of adding it manually.
Yeah,
So,
we make it
mhm.
because I'm not so good with that.
Yeah.
Find a way to make it easier than I
Of course,
can.
yeah. And now we just need to define it here. And if we try it again. Wow, there it is, our beautiful Yummy. But we want to do some magic, of course. We want Yummy to disappear if you press the button. And we need to go here in the unclicked section of the button.
But you cannot put the little flash just to unlock to block them.
We could comment this out.
Yeah, we just remove it like to the phone.
But then it's gone all the way. So what we want is when we press the button, we want Yummy to disappear. we need to give an ID to the image. We'll define that one as Yomi. And when we press the button, we want to change the visibility of the image components. So Yomi.visible is false. Now we run again. And he's gone. And that's really basic what we did, but it's to show that QML is really simple to learn. We could, yeah? To make it understandable what happens, I'm going to create an entire if statement.
Let's do that as the last one, because then otherwise Sander is building an app here and everybody is watching.
It's your challenge to make Yummy reappear. Yeah. That's fine. I'll continue. Thank you, Eric, for your assistance. Okay. That was the little demonstration. Once you've made Yummy reappear in your app, you might want to publish it. As I already said, we have the Open Store. It's the alternative to the App Store on iOS and the Play Store on Android. And this is the place where you can publish your app. It will show up nicely in the App Store. This is the website version, and on the right side you see the app that's on your phone. When submitting an app to the Open Store, you'll need to log in with a GitHub, GitLab or Ubuntu One account. And after that, you'll need to submit the click package. And you already saw where you can find it. It's in the build folder under the architecture. Yes? Mag allebei. I'm going to answer in English. Yeah. You asked, I want to publish an app also for Android and iOS. Could it only be in HTML? That's the question, right? Yeah. You could actually use QML, but of course Android and iOS don't have the Lomiri components. You could use the Qt Quick components for that. And there is a theming option available. So you could put a bit of Ubuntu sauce on it to make it look nice on Ubuntu Touch as well. So that's something we can look into later. Yeah. Once again. Oh. Mm-hmm. No, you won't be able. No, this is only for Ubuntu Touch. The Open Store is really specific for it. Yeah, yeah. And once you've uploaded your click package, it's also a nice thing if you selected an open source license to publish the code on GitLab or GitHub or any other place. A lot of apps in the Open Store are open source, and please, if you start with app development, take a look at them, because there are really nice examples there. Yeah, of course.
When I developed my first Android app back in 2008, it was a Hello World app, and I sold 10 of them in the first couple of hours because there were no apps available. If you now look in the Android store, there are, I think, 2 billion apps there. If you develop an app for Ubuntu Touch, you will be noticed. Especially if it's an app the community is waiting for. Because how many apps do we have in the Open Store? That's why you are here, because we don't have enough apps. But how many apps do we have in the Open Store? Anybody? 300, 400, you say, Mike? Okay, 500. So we expect at Sunday to at least have 550 apps then. Yeah? Okay.
And publish them, eh? And it's really easy. Once you've uploaded the click file, you'll get this management page, and you can add an app title, a nice description, even screenshots, and yeah, everyone can install it with an Ubuntu Touch device. And here are some useful resources. Of course, first there's the UBports documentation. Yes, Stuart? Mm-hmm. Oh, closed source, yeah. That's a good addition, and it's possible here in the license field. Yes, thank you. The documentation of UBports is really helpful. Also, there's the API documentation. All the Lomiri components are found there, so that's a good thing to read. There also is the UBports YouTube channel. It has a few videos on development. And of course, you can find the Q&A there tonight with Mike and Alfred. And lastly, use the books you are getting today in your goodie bag, because there's a lot of information and steps in there, and also links to videos. And if you need any help, we're found online as a community on the UBports forum. Also, there is a Telegram development group where you can ask any questions. And this weekend, please start creating, make something, and ask us for help. There are a lot of smart people in this room from the community, even smarter than me, to ask questions to, that have a lot of experience with app development. So please be able to find us and have fun. Yeah. And what now, Eric?